The grand hall of the Celestia space station gleamed under the soft light of floating orbs, casting gentle reflections on polished metal walls. The banquet was in full swing, a mix of humans and aliens from across the galaxy. Some floated in zero-gravity chambers, while others walked gracefully on the solid platforms. The air buzzed with the hum of alien languages, mechanical whispers, and the occasional clink of glasses. It was a celebration of power, wealth, and alliances. But Daniel Hargrove, the human CEO of Teradyne Industries, walked through it all with an almost magnetic authority. He had attended countless galactic summits before, but tonight he wanted to impress, not just as a human, but as a negotiator whose word could tilt trade wars and tech monopolies. He surveyed the crowd, nodding politely at dignitaries and exchanging firm handshakes with some of the more intimidating species. Some were as tall as two humans stacked, others so small they could sit on his shoulder. All of them had their own agendas. Yet despite the formality and grandeur, Daniel's sharp eyes caught something unusual near the buffet tables. A figure, small and quick, darted among the crowds without the slightest concern for etiquette or attention. The girl was not human. She had translucent green skin that shimmered subtly under the lights, and eyes the size of soft orbs that reflected the brilliance of the banquet hall. Her ears were pointed, and tiny tendrils of hair floated, as if alive, reacting to her nervous energy. She wore a simple outfit. Unlike the elaborate ceremonial gowns and suits of the others, she moved with a mix of grace and recklessness, clearly aiming straight for the food, rather than the pomp of political conversation. Daniel raised an eyebrow. He had seen ambitious humans sneak past security before, but an alien? And one so bold? Curious, he walked toward the buffet silently, his steps calculated, blending with the flow of guests. By the time he was only a few meters away, the girl had already reached the centerpiece of the table, a golden tray piled high with multi-layered pastries that looked like they were worth more than a small spaceship. She reached for one delicately, her fingers brushing against the cool metal. Daniel cleared his throat. The girl froze, turning her head slowly. Her eyes widened, not in fear, but in amusement. She held the pastry between her fingers like a trophy, and tilted her head slightly. "Oh," she said casually, her voice a melodic hum that seemed alien but understandable. "I didn't think anyone would notice me." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "And why would you be here, sneaking among dignitaries, dressed like a common servant, while everyone else is in formal attire?" The girl shrugged, letting a mischievous grin spread across her face. "Honestly, just here for the free food." She took a small bite of the pastry, chewing thoughtfully, as if her presence at the banquet had nothing to do with political intrigue, espionage, or theft. Daniel blinked, caught off guard. Most intruders stammered, begged, or tried to flee. Few dared to answer with humor and honesty, especially in front of a CEO who could authorize their immediate detention. Yet this alien girl seemed completely unafraid. She met his gaze steadily, as if daring him to challenge her.
"You think this is a joke?" he asked, trying to keep his composure. "Depends," she said, licking a smear of cream from her fingers.
"Do you think it's funny?" The hall around them moved obliviously, with ambassadors chatting about trade routes and inventions that could change the galaxy. The tension between the two humans, Daniel and the intruding alien, was invisible to everyone else, but it was electric. Daniel's instincts, honed over years of negotiation and corporate warfare, told him she was no ordinary thief. She was clever, and there was a purpose behind her audacity. "Do you know who I am?" Daniel asked, leaning slightly closer. "Yeah?" she said without hesitation, eyes sparkling. "You're the guy everyone's pretending to like so they can get access to human tech." She paused, taking another tiny bite of pastry. "I'm not pretending. I just like food." Daniel let out a small, incredulous laugh, part frustration, part admiration. This girl, this strange alien girl, was fearless in a way humans admired. She was bold, clever, and self-interested, but not malicious. That combination was rare in the galaxy, and Daniel found himself oddly intrigued.
"You can't just waltz into a high-security gala like this," he said, folding his arms. "It's dangerous."
"You could be detained. Or worse." She tilted her head, considering him.
"And I could get caught."
"True. But if I don't try, I don't get anything. And honestly, the pastries are amazing." She winked. Daniel shook his head, a small smile breaking through his serious demeanor. There was something undeniably human about the way she acted. Unpredictable, clever, and unwilling to bow just because the rules said she should. He could see it now, clear as day. Despite all the alien tech, etiquette, and hierarchy surrounding them, what truly mattered was cunning and courage, and she had both. "All right," he said finally, more to himself than to her. "If you're going to be bold enough to sneak in, I'd at least like to know why." The girl chewed her pastry thoughtfully, then shrugged. "Why not? Maybe I just like challenges. Maybe I like free food. Maybe I have bigger problems than some CEO catching me." Daniel felt a twinge of curiosity.
"Bigger problems? In a place filled with political intrigue and interstellar deals, what could possibly be bigger than this?"
"Name's Daniel," he said, extending his hand in a formal gesture.
"You are?"
She glanced at his hand, then shook it delicately, her fingers surprisingly strong. "Zyra," she said, "and you, Daniel, just made the best mistake of your evening, letting me eat that pastry without calling security." The moment felt oddly significant. Amid the glittering wealth and the hum of galactic power, Daniel realized that sometimes the most remarkable things were small acts of defiance, cleverness, and courage. Here was a young alien, resourceful and daring, who didn't wait for permission or opportunity.
"She made her own. Zyra," he said, studying her.
"You're not just here for food, are you?" Her grin widened. "Maybe not, but it's a start." At that moment, Daniel understood something vital about humans, and perhaps the universe. Ingenuity, boldness, and a refusal to play by everyone else's rules could turn the tables in ways even the most advanced aliens wouldn't anticipate. And this alien girl, tiny and unassuming, had just reminded him of that truth. The rest of the night stretched on, but Daniel kept a careful eye on Zyra as she navigated the banquet with effortless charm and audacity. Each time she grabbed a bite of food, a piece of humanity's relentless spirit seemed to shine through her actions. She had no formal authority, no massive ship or fleet at her back. Yet in that hall of glittering elites, she commanded attention simply by being clever, fearless, and unapologetically herself. By the time the final toast rang out across the hall, Daniel made a decision. He didn't yet know why Zyra had come or what she intended to do next, but one thing was clear. This alien girl, with her wit and daring, had the potential to change more than a few lives, including his own. And as Zyra bit into the last remaining pastry, Daniel realized that sometimes the universe rewarded those bold enough to act first, even if it was just for the free food. The following morning, the space station buzzed with routine activity, but Daniel Hargrove's mind was far from routine. Despite the grandeur of the banquet and the endless flow of diplomats, one thing clung to his thoughts. Zyra. The alien girl with green, shimmering skin and mischievous eyes had managed to slip past layers of security, charm, or perhaps annoy an entire room of dignitaries, and yet remain utterly unpredictable. Daniel stood by the observation window of his office, overlooking the docking bays where sleek ships of all shapes and sizes moved with precision. He tapped his fingers on the glass, considering the implications. Most CEOs would have dismissed Zyra as a minor breach, a fleeting distraction. But Daniel didn't dismiss things easily. She was clever, resourceful, bold, and there was something in the way she had stared at him, unafraid, that told him she had purpose. He picked up the communicator on his desk and activated a channel. "Security," he said, keeping his tone measured.
I want a full report on the Banquet intrusion last night. And make it quick."
Minutes later, a holographic display appeared before him. Security footage showed Zyra moving through the crowd with surprising skill. She avoided cameras, slipped past guards, and, most impressively, didn't trigger any alarms. Each move was precise, yet seemingly casual, as if she had done it 1,000 times before. Daniel leaned forward, impressed, despite himself. "She's not just hungry," he muttered. "She's planning something." His thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime. A message arrived from an unknown source, encrypted but clearly intended for him. He opened it, and his eyes widened. The message contained blueprints and information about a rival megacorporation, Galactic Industries, and their exploitation of a small, struggling alien colony on the outer rim of the galaxy. The colony, known as Renara, was on the verge of collapse because Galactic had seized critical resources and technology. And at the bottom of the message was a simple note: "I need help." "I can't do this alone. Dash, Zyra." Daniel sat back, processing the situation. He had seen countless corporate battles, rivalries, and planetary disputes, but something about this felt different. Zyra wasn't seeking profit or glory. She was desperate. She was trying to save her people. And despite being an outsider, she had reached out to humanity, knowing our reputation for ingenuity and problem-solving. He picked up his communicator again. "Zyra," he said, voice calm but firm. "Meet me in Docking Bay 7. Now." Minutes later, a small, sleek shuttle landed in the bay. The door hissed open, and Zyra stepped out, brushing a few stray tendrils of hair from her face. She looked at Daniel with the same fearless smile that had haunted his thoughts since the banquet. "You called," she said, simply. "Yes," Daniel replied, "and I want to know everything. Why you risked so much last night, and what you expect from me." Zyra's eyes flicked around the docking bay, ensuring no one was listening. "My people," she began, voice low. "Renara Colony, Galactic Industries took everything. Our tech, our resources, even the rights to our planet. They plan to mine it dry, leaving nothing for us. I snuck into the banquet to gather intel on their upcoming deals. They're planning a shipment of new terraforming equipment that could change the balance of power in the sector. If we can intercept it, we might have a chance to save Renara." Daniel considered her words carefully. Humans had a long history of intervention when innovation and survival were at stake. He recognized the spark of determination in Zyra, a spark that mirrored humanity's own audacity. This wasn't about rules or protocol. This was about ingenuity, courage, and the refusal to accept defeat. "What do you need from me?" he asked. "Access," she said immediately. "Your ships, your tech, your knowledge. I can infiltrate, but I can't do it alone. And I don't have the firepower to stand against Galactic." Daniel nodded slowly.
"We'll need a plan, and it has to be precise."
They're expecting someone to interfere, but not someone like us, humans working with a small, underestimated alien. Zyra's grin returned, sharper this time. "Underestimated is my favorite word." Over the next few hours, they worked together, using a combination of human strategy and Zyra's alien intuition. Daniel provided schematics of Pteradyne's ships and drones, while Zyra shared insider knowledge of Galactic's routines, security protocols, and the layout of the research hubs. The two of them argued occasionally, mostly over details of approach, but their disagreements were productive. Each new idea built upon the other, creating a plan that was both daring and unconventional. By midday, a holographic display showed a simulation of the mission, a stealthy infiltration, the retrieval of the stolen terraforming tech, and a safe extraction to Renara. Daniel highlighted weak points in the simulation, improvising solutions using materials from Pteradyne's arsenal. Zyra adapted quickly, suggesting routes and timing adjustments that only someone with her agility and alien senses could anticipate.
"This is madness," Daniel said at one point, leaning back in his chair. "We're going straight into the lion's den with nothing but wits and luck." "Madness?" Zyra asked, tilting her head. "Sounds like a Tuesday to me." Daniel couldn't help but laugh. Humans were known for pushing boundaries, and here was a small alien matching them in courage and cunning. Together, they were a force neither could achieve alone. As they finalized the plan, Daniel realized something crucial. Humanity's strength wasn't just in technology or firepower. It was in creativity, improvisation, and audacity, the ability to see solutions where others saw impossibilities. And in Zyra, he saw the same spark that defined humanity: intelligence paired with boldness, unpredictability, and courage. "You'll need a disguise," Daniel said finally, reviewing the last details. "Security is tight, and Xylantech doesn't take kindly to intruders." "You'll need to blend in, look like one of their operatives, and move fast." Zyra nodded. "I can do that. But if anything goes wrong," she trailed off, her eyes serious. "We'll have to improvise. And improvisation, that's where humans shine, isn't it?" Daniel smiled, a mix of pride and resolve. "Exactly. Humans shine in the impossible, and together we might just pull this off." As they prepared for departure, the docking bay lights flickered, signaling the arrival of their ship. Zyra secured her gear, and Daniel double-checked the equipment. They were venturing into unknown territory, facing a mega-corporation with far more resources than either of them could match alone. Yet, in that moment, he felt an unwavering confidence. A galaxy might underestimate humans, but with cunning, audacity, and a refusal to follow rules blindly, they could achieve what others deemed impossible. The engines hummed to life, and the shuttle lifted gently from the docking bay. Outside, stars streaked past as they moved through hyperspace toward Xylantech's research hub. Daniel and Zyra sat in the cockpit, reviewing the plan one last time. "This is going to be dangerous," Daniel said. "Dangerous is the fun part," Zyra replied, eyes glinting with excitement. "Besides, if we succeed, Renara will thank us forever, and we'll have stories to tell. I have a feeling this will be one for the history books." And so, with courage, intellect, and audacity on their side, a human CEO and a daring alien girl set out on a mission that would test every skill, every instinct, and every ounce of ingenuity they had. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting to prove that even against the most advanced forces in the galaxy, determination and cleverness could tilt the balance. In that quiet hum of the shuttle, Daniel realized something profound. Humanity's true power wasn't in fleets or weapons, it was in the mind. The ability to see opportunity where others saw obstacles, to act when others hesitated, and to find solutions no one else could imagine. Zyra was clever, yes, but humanity had something just as rare: resilience, adaptability, and a refusal to bow before the powerful. Hyperspace carried them forward, stars stretching into long lines of light, and the mission began. The galaxy would soon witness a partnership unlike any it had ever seen. Human ingenuity paired with alien audacity. And for the first time, Daniel felt certain that the small, underestimated, could triumph against the mighty, as long as courage and creativity led the way. The shuttle glided silently through the darkness of space, stars stretching into streaks as hyperspace carried Daniel and Zyra toward the heart of Xylantech's research hub. The closer they got, the heavier the tension became. Every moment was a gamble. One miscalculation, one overlooked sensor, and their mission to save Renara Colony would end before it began. Zyra sat in the co-pilot seat, her translucent green skin faintly glowing in the soft light of the dashboard. Her eyes scanned the schematics of the hub displayed on the holographic panel between them. She traced her fingers along corridors and security nodes, muttering to herself in her melodic tongue. Daniel watched her, impressed. Despite the danger, she moved with a confidence that belied her size. "This section here," she said finally, pointing at a cluster of security nodes. "They expect a human-sized intruder from the docking bay, but not two at once, and certainly not with our combined approach. We can slip through their blind spots if we move precisely." Daniel nodded, adjusting his seatbelt. "Precision is our friend, but improvisation is our weapon. If they detect us, we'll need to think fast and use everything we have." She smiled. "I like the sound of that." The shuttle emerged from hyperspace, revealing the massive structure of Xilintek's orbital research hub. Its walls gleamed with reinforced alloys, security drones patrolled every docking port, and turrets rotated slowly, scanning the void for threats. The hub was designed to intimidate, to show dominance in the sector, yet Daniel and Zyra were not intimidated. "Docking Bay 5, Daniel said, pointing at a smaller port on the hub's underside. "It's lightly monitored. We'll land there, disable the local sensors, and move in." Zyra's tendrils twitched with excitement. "Let's do it." The shuttle descended toward the bay, weaving through the beams of detection sensors. Daniel adjusted the thrusters carefully, each movement calculated to avoid triggering alarms. As they neared the entrance, a faint warning light blinked. A minor sensor had detected something. Zyra leaned forward, her fingers flying over the controls. "Don't worry," she said with a grin. "I got this." With a soft hum, she manipulated the sensor's signal, creating a brief blind spot just long enough for the shuttle to slip inside. The door of the bay hissed open, revealing a narrow corridor leading deep into the hub. Daniel exhaled, impressed despite himself. Not many humans could match her adaptability, and yet here she was, blending alien intuition with human-style improvisation seamlessly. Once inside, they moved quickly and silently. The corridors were lined with smooth panels, glowing displays, and the occasional patrolling guard. Zyra led, her small frame allowing her to slip into shadows and remain unseen. Daniel followed closely, relying on his knowledge of security layouts and predictive thinking to avoid encounters. They reached the main research lab, where the stolen terraforming tech was stored. Through the reinforced glass, they saw rows of machines, some humming softly, others sparking with contained energy. Daniel's eyes lit up. This was more than he had expected. Xilintek had gone to great lengths to secure this technology. "We need a distraction," he whispered. "Something that draws attention away from the lab so we can access the tech without triggering their alarms." Zyra's grin returned. "Leave that to me." She darted toward a side corridor, activating a small device that emitted a high-frequency pulse. Lights flickered along the hallways, and security drones immediately responded, moving to investigate the disturbance. Daniel used the opportunity to move closer to the lab. Inside, the tech was more complex than anything he had seen. Machines designed to alter planetary atmospheres, compact yet immensely powerful, lined the walls. Daniel examined the interface, quickly understanding the basic functions. His years of human engineering and adaptive thinking allowed him to analyze the system with speed and accuracy. Zyra returned, carrying a compact alien device that interfaced with the hub's security systems. "We can bypass the locks, but it'll take some precise coordination," she said. Daniel nodded. "Then we coordinate. On my mark." Together, they worked as a team. Daniel manipulated the human tech, creating temporary overrides and rerouting energy flows. Zyra adjusted the alien device, syncing it with the hub's systems to prevent automatic lockdowns. Each action required split-second timing and complete trust in one another's skills. Minutes passed like hours. A single mistake could trigger alarms and summon guards, but the duo moved with the confidence of seasoned operatives. Finally, the locks disengaged, and the terraforming tech was ready for extraction. "Got it," Daniel whispered. "Let's move." They carried the machines carefully through the corridors, retracing their path to the docking bay. As they approached the exit, a squad of Xilintek security personnel appeared, alerted by a minor misalignment in the system.
a detail even Zyra hadn't anticipated. "Change of plan," Daniel said, his mind racing. He grabbed a portable device from the shuttle, improvising a simple electromagnetic pulse generator. With a flick of his wrist, he disabled the guards' weapons and communication devices temporarily. The humans in the squad froze, confused and disoriented. Zyra seized the moment, using her agility to slip past them and guide Daniel toward the bay. The guards recovered quickly, but by then the shuttle's engines were already powering up, ready for immediate departure. As they lifted off, alarms blared across the hub. Turrets turned toward the shuttle, tracking its movements. Daniel activated the thrusters and performed a series of maneuvers that no standard pilot would attempt: sharp angles, sudden climbs, and dives through the outer defense grid. Zyra, her eyes bright with exhilaration, calculated their trajectory, warning him of potential hazards in real time. The shuttle broke through the hub's outer defenses, entering open space. Behind them, explosions and flashes of light signaled the hub's automated response systems, trying to recover from the intrusion. Daniel and Zyra exchanged a glance, both breathing heavily but smiling. "That was insane," Daniel said, laughing despite the adrenaline. "You call that insane?" Zyra replied, smirking. "Try doing it while carrying a planet-saving machine and dodging death at every turn." Daniel shook his head, impressed. "I think we just redefined human ingenuity in the eyes of this galaxy." Zyra laughed, a sound that seemed to blend alien musicality with pure delight. "Humans are funny that way. We never follow the rules unless it suits us, and even then, we bend them." The shuttle entered hyperspace once again, carrying the stolen tech safely toward Renara. Daniel reviewed the mission in his mind. Every move, every decision, every improvisation had worked because of trust, creativity, and courage, the qualities that defined humanity in his eyes. They had succeeded not because they were the strongest, but because they were clever, adaptable, and willing to act when others hesitated. As the stars stretched into lines of light, Daniel realized that the mission had done more than recover stolen technology. It had proven something far greater. When humans combined ingenuity with audacity, no obstacle, no matter how formidable, was insurmountable. Zyra glanced at him, her expression serious now. "Renara will be saved because we dared to try." "They'll think it was impossible, but we made it happen." Daniel nodded, feeling a surge of pride. And that's what being human is all about. Finding solutions when others see none. Acting when others hesitate. Making the impossible possible. She smiled faintly. "Then it looks like humans and aliens can make a pretty good team." "Yes," Daniel said, leaning back in his seat. "We can. And I have a feeling this is only the beginning." Dogs. Outside, hyperspace carried them closer to Renara, each second bringing them nearer to a small planet in desperate need of salvation. The stolen tech, their teamwork, and their ingenuity were the only things standing between destruction and hope. And for Daniel, it was a reminder of why humans were underestimated in the galaxy, and why that was their greatest strength. Together, human and alien, CEO and daring intruder, had pulled off the impossible. The galaxy would remember this mission, not for the machines or the alarms, but for the cleverness, courage, and determination that had made it succeed. And as the shuttle raced through hyperspace, Daniel allowed himself a rare smile. Humanity's audacity, paired with resourcefulness, had once again triumphed. The shuttle exited hyperspace, revealing Renara Colony in the distance. From above, the planet looked fragile, a small blue and green orb clinging to life in the darkness of space. Vast deserts, deep oceans, and clusters of cities barely visible under the atmosphere spoke of a civilization struggling against the odds. Daniel Hargrove sat in the cockpit, his eyes scanning the surface. "We made it," Zyra said softly, though there was tension in her voice. "But Xylantech won't let us just land and deliver the tech. They'll have reinforcements ready." Daniel nodded, gripping the controls. Then we make sure they don't get the chance. Remember, it's not just about landing. It's about strategy, improvisation, and speed. That's what humans do best. Zyra smiled faintly, her glowing eyes reflecting determination. Let's save my people, Daniel. As they descended, the planet's surface revealed signs of destruction. Mining equipment from Xylantech dotted the landscape, leaving scars in the deserts and deforestation in once lush areas. Clouds of smoke rose from industrial zones, and small clusters of alien citizens were fleeing toward safer areas. Zyra's tendrils quivered with anger and worry. "Hold on tight," Daniel said, adjusting the shuttle's descent. "We'll land near the main colony hub. That way we can install the terraforming tech and create a diversion at the same time." The shuttle landed smoothly on a plateau overlooking the largest city. Daniel and Zyra quickly unloaded the terraforming machines, moving with speed and precision. Zyra interfaced her alien device with the hub's central system, while Daniel prepared the human tech to integrate with the planet's existing infrastructure. They worked in silence at first, the tension almost unbearable. Every second wasted increased the risk of Xylantech discovering their presence, but despite the pressure, they moved with confidence, their combined skills turning a potentially impossible mission into achievable progress. "Almost done," Daniel whispered, focusing on the final connections. The machines hummed to life, small lights blinking steadily. Suddenly, alarms echoed across the colony. Sensors had detected activity near the city's industrial sector. "They know we're here," Zyra said, her voice calm but urgent. "Reinforcements are coming!" Daniel's mind raced. "Then we draw them away. I'll create a diversion near the main refinery. That should pull most of the guards and drones away from the hub. You finish the installation while I handle the distraction." Zyra tilted her head, considering him. "Are you sure?" "I'm human," Daniel said with a grin. "It's kind of our specialty." Moments later, Daniel climbed into a small reconnaissance vehicle and sped toward the refinery. His approach was loud, bold, and designed to draw attention. Drones detected him immediately, and automated defenses activated. But Daniel had anticipated every move. Using a combination of improvised EMP grenades and calculated maneuvers, he disabled the machines long enough to keep them busy, buying Zyra precious time. Back at the colony hub, Zyra worked furiously. The terraforming machines required precise calibration, but her knowledge of alien systems combined with Daniel's designs made the process faster and more efficient. Slowly, the machines began to stabilize the environment. Clouds condensed into rain, the atmosphere began to refresh, and the once barren regions started showing signs of recovery. Citizen aliens began to notice the changes. Excited whispers spread through the colony. Children ran outside to feel the first drops of clean rain in years, and elders watched in awe as their world, once on the brink of collapse, began to breathe again. Daniel's diversion continued, each move carefully calculated to maximize chaos without endangering civilians. He smashed through drone patrols, maneuvered past turrets, and created noise that pulled Xylantech's forces further from the hub. The megacorporation's automated systems couldn't adjust quickly enough, and Daniel exploited every gap with human ingenuity. Hours passed like minutes, but finally, the machines were fully operational. Zyra activated the final sequence, and the planet's atmosphere began to stabilize permanently. Water levels balanced, the temperature normalized, and a soft wind carried the scent of growth across the colony. Rhaenyra was saved. Daniel returned to the hub, breathless but grinning. "How's it looking?" he asked. Zyra's eyes shone with gratitude and awe. "Better than I could have imagined. My people, they'll survive, thanks to you." Daniel shook his head. "Thanks goes to both of us. Humans can improvise, but even we need a spark of courage and creativity like yours to succeed." As the two stood together, Xylantech's ships appeared on the horizon, alerted to the intrusion. They had been slow to react, but reinforcements were on the way. Daniel and Zyra exchanged a glance. "Time for the final move," Daniel said. Using a combination of human tactical thinking and Zyra's alien tech, they sent a message to the Galactic Council. Holographic footage from their mission, including Xylan Tech's violations, corruption, and exploitation, broadcasted across the sector. The megacorporation had underestimated humans and aliens working together, and now the galaxy knew. Xylan Tech's ships paused, analyzing the situation. Their advantage had evaporated. Planetary forces loyal to the Council were already en route to Renara, and the megacorporation had no choice but to retreat. Zyra laughed in relief. They underestimated the small and clever. They always do. Daniel nodded. And that's the beauty of humans. We're unpredictable, adaptable, and we find solutions where others see none. That's why the galaxy will always have to respect us, even when we're underestimated. As the sun of Renara rose over the horizon, casting golden light across forests and oceans rejuvenated by the terraforming machines, citizens gathered to celebrate. Daniel and Zyra watched from a high ridge, the first true smiles of the colony reflecting in their eyes. "You saved your people," Daniel said quietly. "And you saved them, too," Zyra replied, her voice full of warmth. "Without human ingenuity, without your daring, I don't think we could have done this." Daniel chuckled. "It seems humans and aliens make a pretty unstoppable team after all. Next time, maybe we should aim for dessert first." Daniel laughed, shaking his head. "I think the galaxy can handle our audacity for now. Let's just enjoy this victory." As the colony celebrated below, Daniel realized something profound. Humanity's true power was not in ships, weapons, or numbers. It was in the mind, the ability to act when others hesitated, to create solutions when all seemed lost, and to combine courage with ingenuity. In Zyra, he had found an ally who matched that spirit in her own way, proving that boldness, creativity, and determination could overcome even the most formidable forces. Above, the stars sparkled like distant witnesses to their triumph. The galaxy had underestimated humans once again, and once again, human ingenuity had proven unstoppable. For Daniel and Zyra, the mission was more than a success. It was a testament to the power of courage, intelligence, and the audacity to act when the odds seemed impossible. Rhaenara Colony was saved, Xylan Tech was exposed, and two unlikely heroes had shown the galaxy that even in the vastness of space, small acts of cleverness, bravery, and determination could change the course of worlds. And somewhere in the midst of laughter, rain, and celebration, Zyra looked at Daniel and whispered with a grin, "Next time, I call dibs on the pastries first." Daniel laughed, feeling a rare, unshakable pride. Humanity had once again shown, clever, audacious, and undeniably unstoppable.